Hello, you guys. Welcome to the video. Now, if you do like the video, feel free to like, subscribe, and follow up for more content like this. But anyways, today I'm going to be talking about just masculinity. I feel like that's another thing where it's really tricky to go on about because I feel like, for me at least, it's something that redefines your own journey, I feel like you redefine the aspect of masculinity. Whether that means you follow that prime example of a strong man who's willing to take anything for himself, really, such as responsibilities and other things that are enticing. It's one of them things where it's a tricky discussion because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily know where that leads. You don't know where that will go. And most cases, I get it, it's not within our own favor to choose our own directions in life. And at least with me, I feel like as if it's something to really just get on with because how I see it is more like a journey, a time lapse. You could see yourself in the middle of this memory, well, memories really, and you get to see what really enhanced your personality, what really opened your eyes to that sort of thing or that acknowledgement. Life is like that, you gotta realize that there's things that you gotta open your eyes to, and then you take it full on. I feel like me establishing this ground about like boundary, like it took me quite a long time to sort of build this for myself. And it's tricky for me to even like go about with it because at the end of the day, it's a journey that only I experience. You get what I'm trying to say? Like it's one of them things where only you can redefine that sort of thing. And yeah, as much as I make this as a vent channel, I want you guys to know that like as a dude, you don't have to be scared of a lot of things. You don't have to be scared of like a girl judging you or a girl looking at you funny because everybody's different. There's people that ruin that image of what a man is, and it happens. There's certain people that will go out of the way to cause a lot of problems, which you guys probably understand what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, it's one of them things to like really fully establish to a certain degree on a long point. And it's a massive discussion because at the end of the day, I understand that there's certain hatred towards men, but when it came to that mental awareness month for men, it was something that was really, eye opening. I felt alone in this current state of mind around them times, and I never knew that men really get looked at, in a way where it's like for their issues per se. And I never really believed that everybody that's a man had an issue because they always find a solution to it or whatever. But then to me, my solution like taken up from like different experiences, and with me, I don't really have, like I say, a good background. So it's tricky for me to even find a solution in times where, it's needed. It's tricky because at the end of the day, I can look at something and think there's not really much of a solution, but there is. And I find hope despite sort of feeling like I can't. That's another thing where it's like really wonderful about life because you don't expect it. You don't expect it at all. Like you look at this sort of thing and think there's not really much of a solution when there is. You gave yourself that solution, that bravery, that courage to sort of look at that thing and go, I could do this. I could do this and look at that and go ahead with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a funny dude overall. I like to joke about, but then I feel like as if I'm too real with my own reality. You get what I'm trying to say? Like with dudes, they always have a certain image of what a man is. Some dudes can look at Jim and think, yeah, a big strong man, that's what it means to be a man. And that's part of it. That's part of it too. Where it's like holding your own. At least for me, it felt like holding my own, like every time when I worked out, I was holding my own pieces together because at the end of the day, there's not really much I could put this stress or weight on. So why not just develop something out of it? And I feel like for every dude, you build a certain aspect, whether you're like that or not, which I'm not gonna say. Um, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you still built a whole journey for yourself, regardless whether you're any of like the terms or the sexualities. You still built this sort of said thing for yourself, this foundation. Now, me as a straight dude, I can't speak for that, but at the same time, I feel like everybody that's a so said man, regardless whether you're like that or not, you still have to build this foundation for yourself to sort of realize that there's some sort of masculinity in the things that you do. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you built a strong image for yourself and you looked at that thing and went, okay, I fully established my spirit and I can look at myself and go, I'm proud of that thing. I'm proud of that. I have a beautiful life. I have a beautiful girl, man, whatever. And it's that thing where you get to really sort of appreciate the things that are around you. You get to look at that thing and go, okay, I have what I want now to get along with my stuff and pick my pieces up together because the world is never gonna sort of fix itself. Unless if there's a bunch of people that agree onto it, it's never gonna fix itself. So you gotta, establish that bound for yourself and think, okay, the whole world around me, could fall, tear, but I won't tear. I won't break down. At least to me, that's what I think masculinity is, in the sense of, you can't break down. You gotta pick the pieces up and find a solution for yourself. Because there's no point of looking at that sort of thing and thinking, okay, there's no solution. There is. And whether you're in denial about it is entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. Now, obviously, there's different things like, the whole SA and other words which I rather not say because to me I don't like the thought of it. But people like that go through some sort of background where it's like, it's pretty optional. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, for me, I feel like, obviously, despite me having a bad background, there's no excuse for that sort of thing. For me, I always think, okay, you know what? There's morals over matter. If you care so much about this thing, the consequences come up. But if I follow my morals, these things won't happen. But we can't say the same for everybody. Even if it's some sort of cougar woman, whatever. Not everybody, not everybody is going to be willing to follow those morals. And that's the thing with life. Sometimes you got to look at that dead on and go, okay, this person doesn't want to believe in the morals. That's up to them. They can waste time arguing about this sort of thing over and over again, and nobody has to stop them entirely. It's up to them. Nobody's, going to stop them, because at the end of the day, the consequences grow. They grow to a certain point where they will feel the backlash, and the backlash is real. These things in life, you gotta sort of look at and think, okay, there's morals over matter. For me, it's about the equality and the peace of mind that I get. If I get peace of mind and I'm willing to cause someone else misery, that goes against my whole morals, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't want that either. I wouldn't like that either. So it's like, okay, focus on myself, focus on building my own body, my own aspect, and this image where I give off hope. I give off this so said hope, because at the end of the day, what would I be if I hadn't? I don't know what I would have been if I didn't speak to myself and said, okay, you know what? There's a solution to everything. Don't back down. There's going to be a solution, and you got to look at it and take it on. Because at the end of the day, most people don't realize it. Some people think, there's only one option, and that one option is never the nicest. And as a man, you go through different phases. And I'm sure as a woman too, you go through different phases too. But specifically, like a man, like woman, you're going to be really confusing because you're just human. Now, to gain some sort of awareness over a lot of things and being emotionally intelligent gives you some sort of head start into something. Yeah, there might be a lot of things that hinder down to a certain degree where you're like, okay, I'm insecure about this, I'm insecure about that. But at least at the end of the day, you get to look at that sort of thing and think, okay, you know what? There's a lot of things that I can't change. Whether that means it's love. At least for me, when it came to love, it was such a tricky thing because I couldn't stop people from doing the worst, Let's say, for example, cheating or being disloyal or whatever, talking to somebody else is, it's up to them. Some people go through these things because they've been hurt themselves and think, okay, you know what, it's normal because if that person did it, then I can do it. And they don't realize that they're causing misery. It only takes several people to sort of acknowledge that sort of thing and go, okay, you know what, I wasn't the problem. She was the problem. I'll move on. Or better, yeah. What I say is, I'm the issue. She's the issue. The reason for that is that, at the end of the day, I should add more faith in something else that, in somebody else that actually has that sort of loyalty or that attention thing towards me. Instead of, focusing on the whole, oh yeah, like I rather have this quality about a man, this quality about a man. When in reality, in a certain age, like 15 or 16, you haven't really accomplished anything as a dude, you haven't really finished that sort of standard. You get what I'm trying to say? And it's tricky because at the end of the day, some people try redefining that sort of word of man. In some cases, everybody has their own definition of what, the sort of man is, It's kind of like seeing yourself, in 10 years' time and you're thinking, okay, I want to be that person in 10 years. I want to be that person in 10 years. And you go, okay, you know what? I gotta work towards it. But then by the moment it's actually 10 years, you think, okay, I want to be, this person when I'm like, in 20 years' time, I guess. And then you look for that. You always find a reason. And you're never going to actually reach that sort of thing, but you're looking towards it because that's the goal that you need. If you had no goals whatsoever, then No point. There's cases where you don't really see yourself in a certain aspect, but and then it takes time for you to sort of find that journey. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you gotta find a way to sort of give yourself hope, give yourself some sort of pleasure to a certain degree where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm satisfied with this sort of thing that I accomplished. I went gym, I did Muay Thai, or something like that. Something that's life changing, something that I enjoy. Nothing to be drained about, but something that I can sort of put my stress into. Whether that means I'm fighting complete different demons at home or outside, that's still, part of life, Like, I'm glad that I get the difficult stuff because most people are spoiled. They like to focus on gaining fame, they like to focus on all these other things, but for me, I rather focus on accomplishing this one thing, finding a certain stability with my social life. Whether that means I become strong on my own or strong with somebody else that believes in me, I gotta go through it. I gotta go through it. Every difficult task is worth taking because at the end of the day, not everybody's gonna be able to tell that suicide story. That environment that you're living in, this exact chair or this exact room, you're never gonna experience it like me. That's why my life is written in my own terms. So there's your life. Your life is written within your own terms, your own environment, your own aesthetic, your own, light. And you think to yourself, okay, you know what? This thing is something that nobody else can do but me. But me. This is my life. I'm gonna, find a way to find a solution for that suicide thing. And yeah, it may be tricky at first, but establish that suicide thing. Establish that suicide bond with yourself. Forget about all the problems out there. Push that away. Think about what you can do within this current moment to please yourself. Don't please others, just please yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth the hassle. But anyways, you guys, I'm gonna leave it here. I've been yapping for 11 minutes and didn't really feel like 11 minutes, but I went by really quick. So, anyways, I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say. But nevertheless, if you do like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. And I'll try different things. But feel free to let me know any suggestions that you may want. I'm not gonna stop you. Peace.